Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Today, I have a really big treat for you. We're going to be talking to the wonderful Pauline Reid, book reviewer. Hello, Pauline. It is so lovely to see you. How are you?
Hello. I'm very well, thank you, and thank you so much for having me on. I'm really stoked and happy about this.
Well, it's so fabulous. I usually interview indie authors, but I've never interviewed a book reviewer before. And I think that's so important because, people would want to know what you're looking for. So,
Right.
to start us off, would you give us a tiny little bit about who you are and what made you become a book reviewer, please?
Well, it just fell into my lap, basically. I mean, it's nothing I planned. Um, yeah, it's just crazy how it all began, really. And I think it boils down to Instagram, really. Um, my husband said, "Oh, why did you go onto Instagram?" He had discovered it. A friend of his said, "Why don't you go on it?" And then he said, "Well, why don't you go on it?" And so I said, "Well, I don't know what to photograph." What's there to photograph? you know, and um, and books weren't really a big thing for me, even reading as a child. I grew up with records, like those little 45 story records, that you listen, that you used to listen to. And this is way back in late 70s, so no internet back then. And you had to make your own entertainment and even listening to stories through there was a Sunday radio station that would do an hour's worth of stories that you'd used to listen to. One was Bad Jelly the Witch, which is a good appropriate one for this time of year. And all those little wee things. Sparky the Train was another one. And yeah, and then basically at school it was more the scholastic books that you used to get. Oh, goody, that's about as book clubby as it ever got. And then as I grew up and had kids, there was a lapse of nothing at all. Although I think when I was about in my teens, did um, I did used to bank word processing at Otago Polytech and go to the library and started looking at all the books there. And I was into things like Dennis Whitley and all those sorts of things,
Yeah.
to start off with. And then that all sort of fizzled out as I had grown up, had kids and got married, etc., etc. And then it wasn't um, until my mother-in-law, who was very um, big avid reader, and we used to go and look to see if she was all right, and at the weekends and during the week, and she started talking about her books that she was reading, and it really it was catchy. I thought, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind getting back to reading. I haven't done it for years.
Yeah.
And there was a little wee bookshop where we lived, and I went from there. I think she was she read May Finchy, and that really sort of sparked my interest. That was the start
That's
of
wonderful.
a author that I sort of carried on through. And as I carried on through her books, um, I thought, hang on a minute, these are all linked. So the family. sort of linked each other, and it was a bit of a ding dong moment. I thought, I remember that character from that book, and it sort of carried on.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, this is marvelous. I'm going to tell my mum about this, because she was also an avid reader. She was a primary school teacher, so she very, very important were books
Yeah.
on her behalf. And I used to send them down to her, and I said, well, you've got to read this first. You've got to read it in the right order to get what's happening.
Yeah.
And I don't think she was probably as enthusiastic as I was, but it was quite amazing.
I
And
love
that was
it.
the start of the book side of things, but the Instagram reviewing part of it,
Yeah.
was, like I said, with my husband saying, photograph something. And so that's what I started doing.
Oh.
And my handle at the time was walking for the love of books, because I used to like walking,
Yeah.
and I used to combine the two together.
Oh, lovely.
But then again, um, I don't know, it just got to the stage where I got gout, which is a bit of a disease, and it affected my walking.
Ouch.
So
Yeah.
I didn't bother. I didn't
Yeah.
sort of bother. I read a lot. I didn't bother with the walking, because the
Yeah.
two didn't match together. So I
Mm.
thought, well, I'm going to have to change my handle, because it's not working
Yeah.
now that I'm doing something slightly different. And although I'm okay now, I'm back to walking, and I'm back
Oh,
to
that's good.
reading books, and
Yeah.
back to doing everything normal. It's sort of it came from all there, really. And the reviewing that was really when when I was sick and I couldn't walk as
Right.
much, so I
Yeah.
read a lot. And of course, not moving around, I decided to write what I had read. So basically boiled down to that, really.
Oh,
And I read, and it all started flooding in when I read a particular book called Nothing is Predictable by Adelina May.
right.
And it was like, whoop, it just went, whoop, everything came to me. And I had um, a book place, I think, Your Books was called, they're still around. Um, Contact me, and they actually rang me and said, well, how do you do this? I said, I don't know, I just do it. I just do it. I suppose it's a bit like asking an author, well, how do you write? Well, you just do it, don't you?
Yeah.
You just write it down. Well, I just get the points of the book that I love and put it in my review in my own words. And go from there. And I think it's very, very important. I think reading is very important. I think it you get a lot of empathy and sympathy from the characters, who are based normally on ordinary people. This is why I like contemporary fiction,
Right.
basically, is
Yeah.
because it's real. I mean, it can be tapped in as a real thing,
Right.
um, not so much in the fantasy and the sci-fi. But yeah, that's why I like contemporary fiction. So yeah,
Oh,
that's basically
yeah.
it, I think.
Okay. Well, because I was going to ask you, is there a specific genre that you prefer to read? Or, are you just interested in all stories? But it sounds no, it's
Well, it's
definitely
more
realism.
contemporary fiction, and it's more contemporary fiction, romance.
Right.
Um, And I think because a lot of you need romance in this life.
Yes,
You
you
need love. you know, and especially what's going on in the world at the moment. We
Yes,
need something else to grasp
yes. You need
onto.
some
You know.
love. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, love and yeah, love of
Yeah.
all sorts, really. But I mean, it does show up a lot in romance
Yeah.
novels and books and stuff. So yeah,
Definitely. Well, I
yeah.
was going to ask you because you write really good reviews. How do you approach reviewing a book? But I think you've kind of already answered that because you're saying that you're looking at the points and then you put it in your own words. You do really amazing reviews and you've done a few for me. Thank you, my darling. It's so
Yeah.
awesome. It really is. Yeah. So
Yes,
I've written down.
I was in your editorial team,
Oh,
wasn't I?
you were, and you still can be again because I'll start writing
Oh
again
well,
soon. Yes, yes, I will. I've written down a few questions. If you don't mind, I'll just refer to those here. But now I've taken off my glasses and it's past 10 o'clock in London. I can't see what I'm doing, but I'm going to try and read my own writing. Right.
yeah.
Okay. So I was going to say, um, okay, so we've answered that. So you've answered quite a few of the ones that I was going to ask anyway, which is wonderful. But I was going to say, how much influence do external factors like authors' reputations, because you mentioned Maeve Binchy, and or a book's popularity have on your reviews? Or do you not care? You just do your thing.
I just do my thing really. Um, I don't go for hyped books at all because I don't want to be like anyone else. I just want to read what I want to read.
Right,
Um, I don't actually, what I don't do, which a lot of readers probably do, is they ask for books, whereas
right,
I wait until a particular author comes to me because
right,
they're the ones really who are saying that reader can would be suited for my book, so
right.
that I can bring out um, a goodness of it, you know, by doing
Yeah,
that. Whereas if I pick any old random book up,
yeah.
I'm not going to do it justice just because of doing that. It just
Yeah.
doesn't work. I've trial and error. I've done it in the earlier days,
Hmm.
and you just get to find out what sort of fits for you, really, and you
Yeah.
get to find out the types of authors like who write kind of similar to the model authors that you like
Right.
um, Vinci, and
Yeah.
the things like that too.
Yeah.
So yes, yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes
Mm.
sense to me. And it also sounds almost like you have a more of a spiritual way of dealing with readers, with reading books, that it's not
Yeah,
something you force, it's something
that,
you allow to come to you. That's
yes, yes.
wonderful. I did not know that about you. That's
Oh,
fantastic. I love that. That makes so much sense. The little bit I
well,
do
you
know of
do
you. Yeah.
because the author themselves is writing from within them. So what
Yes.
I'm doing is I'm putting it back and
Right.
into the society like that. Well, hopefully
Yes.
that's my main aim anyway.
Yes.
So
That
yeah,
makes
yeah,
complete sense. Yeah.
mm,
Yeah. But
yeah,
it's almost like a
yeah,
performer, because people
yeah,
know I was a singer before. So it's almost like you give the energy to the audience and then they give it back to you and you give
yeah,
it's like that, isn't it, with
yeah,
the writing as well.
yes,
That's
it is very
wonderful,
much.
that's really important, I think, for people to understand because I don't think most readers even think about it like that. They may be doing it subconsciously, but they don't
Yes,
probably think about it like you do. Yeah, that's
yeah,
wonderful. Right.
yeah.
Okay. So now I want to ask you this question, which I'm dying to ask you. What do you think makes a great protagonist? And how much weight do you give to character development in your reviews?
Oh, Uh,
Weighty question.
wait, that's a very weighted question. um, I like protagonists that are that sort of rise from the depths of death and despair, you know, that rise
Yeah.
from it all and
Overcome.
grow from
Yeah.
something that, you know, they've really been down and out from, you know,
Right.
because, you know, that's just marvelous, you know.
Yeah.
This is what we should all be
Yeah. It's very
when we
inspirational. Yeah.
yes, it's just like life, isn't it? If
Yeah.
you're down and out, you
Yeah.
go out and you do something, you know. Well, it's very much like that, you
Yeah.
know. You want to be who your protagonist is,
Yeah.
and that's very, very important to me, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's where I sort of lead to. And characters are very, very important, I think. But then again, um, really depends on the story.
Mm.
Um, there are other books, especially historical fictions, um, that the more the surroundings are
Yes.
important too,
Yeah.
and so you go more towards the scenery and that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, it really depends on the book I'm reading at the
Yeah.
time.
I suppose, I mean, the setting and where the book takes place can almost become
Yes,
a character in itself, can't it, in a way?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Look at Forever and Ever Love. Your one that
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did. You know, that was really
Thank
good.
you.
You know, the way you described everything
Oh, thank
in there,
you.
very, very nice.
Yeah.
You
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you saying that and even mentioning my book. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, that's very interesting to me because I think um that's what people want to know about, you know, the kind of characters that inspire people to want to read. And I think you're right, is when we kind of have those characters that overcome obstacles, that overcome things that seem impossible, you know, because it gives us inspiration thinking, okay, my life is crap, but if they can do it, so can I, in a way,
That's right.
right?
Yeah, and it does work. It really
Mm,
does. You know, and
yeah,
it's like a positive energy vibe.
yeah, yeah.
If you haven't got it within you, you're not going to go anywhere.
No,
Honestly,
true.
you're not.
Yeah,
But if you read something like that, you 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 got to do it.
yeah,
You're
yeah, yeah,
going to do it.
yeah.
And I have seen in my did a little experiment with my walking, and I've got all
Yeah,
the data and stuff, and I've noticed from books I've read, I've done a lot better than what I would have done if I had read something
right.
slightly less so. And
Interesting.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So
So it had
it's
a real life impact on you. Yeah.
oh yeah, yes.
And I think that
I
that is what happens with books, isn't it? I mean, as you say, even, you know, books that inspire you, especially in the world we live in today. I mean, you want to
mm,
be escape it almost and inspired to think that you can achieve fabulous things as well. So that's
yeah, that's
wonderful that it
right. Yeah,
happened for you in real life. That's
yeah, yeah,
fabulous.
yeah,
Really, really good. Okay, so
yeah.
I'm going to ask you a bit of a weird question, but I hope you don't mind. How important is it for a book to challenge or subvert traditional narratives for it to get a positive review from you? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of people like really traditional books and they don't want to veer off of that. But sometimes you find a book that surprises you, that like breaks all the rules and everything, and but it's
Mm,
fantastic. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but do you know what I mean?
yeah. Um, Not really so. Not many books sort of really challenge me in that sense of the word because that's not what I'm looking for.
Right. Okay.
It's
So it's because of the genre that you prefer to
yes,
read. Yeah. Okay.
yes,
That makes
that's
sense to
right.
me. Not,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. I see what you come, where you're coming from. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then I want to ask you, do you engage with readers or authors after you post a review? And if so, how does that interaction shape your future reviews, if at all?
That's uh, well, it depends on what social media I'm at the time. Like I'm posting on YouTube, and
Yes.
that's very, very difficult. You can't basically it's very hard to interact with anyone there because it's not that type of media sort of
Yeah,
field, if you know, it's completely different. But it's one way of getting books out there, and that's why I've always included it. But it's
definitely.
sort of become a sort of a secondary.
Yeah.
More Facebook and Instagram probably
Right.
that have um, a lot, a lot of a lot of authors follow me on Facebook,
Oh, okay.
and and a mixture of both on Instagram, really. So, and I talk, and yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with communication too. So you've got to communicate well with readers, both readers
Yeah.
and authors.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and I do spend time on social media, but I I have a time limit basically,
Oh,
and I
that's,
have a time limit
yeah,
for reading, and I have a time limit for social media too. So
yeah.
yeah, because
That's
otherwise it
wise.
can be well, it's too consuming. I mean, there is a
Yeah.
life. You do
Yeah.
have to leave. You do have to live. So it's actually
Yeah.
um, the social media part of it and reading is only just a small part, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's
Of
not a
course.
big part at all.
No.
And and I I make it so because otherwise you'll well it's just not natural.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
It'll
to
just
me
suck
it's
you in,
natural.
doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
right. And there's lots of things to do outside and things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Especially now, you guys have spring and coming
Well,
into summer,
yeah, it's
aren't
on
you?
yeah,
So
that's
lovely.
right.
Yeah, I've seen some of your pictures about all the blossoms and oh, it looks wonderful because we're going into, fall and winter and all of that
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Okay,
That's
I want
right.
yeah, I'm just going to ask you one more because I'm so aware of the time. We don't have very
Yeah,
much time left, but I would like to
right.
ask what trends or common tropes in the genres that you read are you
Yeah.
excited about, and which ones do you feel are overdone?
Mm. Well, um, in the romance genre, the tropes I tend to fall towards is the second chance
Chance, yeah.
romance,
Ah, okay.
friends to lovers,
Right.
basically, friends to lovers.
Oh,
I like that a lot.
right.
Um, Fri- I've just read a book that was enemies to lovers.
Right.
It, it's slightly annoying. It's annoying because you're busy basically talking to the book, saying, "For goodness sake, get on with it, get on." And I don't, you
Love
know,
it.
and I would rather have a friend that's more nicer, more nicer. Friends to lovers is
Gentler.
more nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, gentler. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
got
I'm with you on that one. I can't do enemies to lovers. I can't. I've tried it.
yeah,
I can't.
yeah.
And
I've
it
tried
doesn't
it.
work for me.
Yeah, and
No,
I have
so funny.
read it, and I probably, sometimes you just can't help but
Yeah.
reading. those because it's not really specified anywhere in the book,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. So you
So,
don't know.
um,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, so
indeed.
sometimes you just don't know, but that's what I do favour if
Yeah.
I know beforehand or whatever. Yeah.
Can I just ask you, do you finish all the books that you read, or do you ever start a book and think, oh, do you know what? No, this I can't. I just can't.
I actually DNF a lot of books, but you don't hear about it.
Yeah. Okay.
What I do is I read a few chapters, and if it's not for me, I go back to the author and I say, "I'm sorry, I can't give you a review. I
Yeah.
can't give it justice."
Yeah.
And they're
That's fair
really,
enough.
really happy. They're happy to hear that
Yeah.
because no author wants a negative review.
No, so you're being very kind. Yes,
Oh, yeah,
indeed.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because
And
reviews do count. Yeah.
well, absolutely they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also I go into a book blind too. I don't like to be influenced by any other um, reader or apart from what I get out of it myself, basically.
Yeah. Oh, that's wise. Yeah, I kind of do that too. So I'm not a reviewer though, but I do that. So I do understand where you're coming from. So do you
Yeah.
have advice for someone who might want to become a book reviewer and they don't know where to start? Do they just start reading and posting reviews, or how would you start being a book reviewer?
I think just be yourself. You know, you can put whatever you like about a book
Yeah,
in as little or as many words as you like, but just
yeah,
be yourself and be honest. You know,
yeah,
that's all I can say really. There's no magic or special formula.
yeah.
You just got to be yourself and go with it, and people will gravitate towards what they
What they
feel from
like.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Pauline. I was so
Yeah, that's
delighted to
fine.
talk to you. I know people might want to find you somewhere.
Yes.
Where can they find you?
Well, I'll give you the links and you can post it
Post them
down
below the
in
video.
yeah,
Okay, we will
yeah,
do that then. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for joining me
Yeah,
and taking
no
time out of
worries.
your day. It was
Yeah, but
lovely. I mean, we've talked before, but never like this. So it's my
no, no.
huge honor and pleasure. It's so fun. So
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
brilliant.
It's
Thank you. I will speak to you
great.
very, very soon.
Okay then. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye for now.